We see the another monitoring tool is Proman. When procuring external activities and material components for project, a large number of documents are created in the project system, material management, purchasing and production. Use Proman for the structured monitoring of project relevant logistic information and for executing individual procurement functions. The project system is integrated with many other applications in the SAP ERP system. An area in which this is particularly noticeable is the internal and external procurement of material and activities. As soon as an object is generated in the project system, the relevant documents are created in other applications as well. So Proman is a tool that helps you carry out project-oriented procurement. It supplies information about the status and progress of internal and external procurement activities like reservation, purchase requisition, planned order, inquiry, delivery, and available. These are works across production, inventory management, purchasing, project management, dispatch. These documents are processed by the corresponding departments. Previously, this meant the project team only had limited access to the information that was important for the project information that was actually triggered by the POS system. Now, Proman solves the problems like consolidate information from the procurement process from a variety of applications, structured display of information. The display can be adapted to suit the individual user. Execution of individual steps in the procurement process directly from Proman. Access to data from project system, purchasing, production requirements planning, and inventory management. All objects and documents are taken into account. Both planned and unplanned objects, manually created documents are also displayed. Proman is an application that is integrated with materials management, purchasing, and production. Now focus on components or activities and are the respective account assignment objects. Views for components, activities and elements, quantities, dates, orders and documents, stock and deliveries. Hierarchical display of purchase structure for navigation, ALV based overviews, and executable functions like purchase requisitions, create purchase orders, create reservation, goods issue, stock transfer posting, delivery from project. These are the characteristics of Proman. Proman consists of a selection screen and a main screen. The main screen contains a hierarchical navigation area for the project structure and the different overview selections for components, quantities, dates, activities, stock, orders and documents. The orders and documents overview displays documents created such as request for quotation, purchase requisitions, purchase order items, reservations, planned production orders and material documents. In the hierarchical navigation area, WBS elements, networks, activities and activity elements and components are displayed. For components or documents to be displayed in Proman, they must be assigned or account assigned to an object in a project. Requirements that are independent of a project, such as dependent requirements that refer to anonymous plant stock, cannot be evaluated in the Proman. Proman is a tool for monitoring procurement processes and also for controlling these processes. A definite prerequisite is a work breakdown structure and or network to which the components or services to be procured are assigned. And in the Proman, if you consider the scenario for purchasing components, create a project with components, then selection for Proman, then reservation and purchase requisition, purchase order, goods receipt, goods issue, the entire stages will be there. The Proman selection screen allows all or only some of these components or services to selected for the processing Proman. Scenario is purchasing component shows several procurement processes that can be executed or analyzed the Proman, like reservation, purchase requisition, purchase orders, goods receipt, goods issue. The functions will be the overall selection screen for Proman is subdivided into 3 sections. The first selection is where the components and external services are actually selected. By specifying the project definition, sales order number, work WBS element or network. In the second selection, we can enter a Proman profile. This determines the display of variances and the selection of documents that Proman is to display. In the third selection, we define the criteria for filtering the selection. In general, the filters can refer to attributes of the components or the activities and activity elements. The selections we make here can be very complicated, so that we do not lose the settings completely. Each time we exit the selection screen, we can save the entire selection screen as a variant. So we can see the selection screen for the Proman. First of all, we select the object, and the second, settings for views and exceptions, then filter criteria, then finally we are saving as a variant. The main Proman screen is divided into 2 areas, a hierarchical navigation area on the left and the area for detailed information on the right. Tab pages subdivide this second area into individual sections. This slide shows the component overview. The following information is displayed in the components view. For example, reservation number including item, name and description of the material, requirements quantity within unit of measure, item category, purchasing data. So here we can see the component overview where the components and component description and quantities has been shown at the right side of the screen. The overview of orders documents gives information about orders and documents that are assigned to the selected components. The individual documents and orders can be displayed directly from Proman. Simply double click in the individual document or order number to do this. We can also create new documents from all the overviews. The object we have selected and the view that we are currently using both determine which documents we can actually create. The slide shows all the options that we can create it, like reservation or purchase requisition, grouping to purchase requisition, purchase order, delivery, goods receipt and goods issue, transfer, stock postings. So here we can see what are the actions we can perform from here. Generate the reservation purchase requisition, group to purchase requisition, like others. The quantities view supplies with detailed information about the quantities and stock levels of components. Requirement quantity of the reservation, quantity in planned order and in production order, quantity of the purchase requisition and purchase order stock, quantity withdrawn, quantity in the material document. Here we can see the quantities view where we are having the quantities for requirement quantity, withdrawal quantity, PO quantity or PR quantity, like that. The dates overview gives detailed information about the dates of the component. Requirements date, delivery date of the purchase requisition, purchase order date, basic start and finish date of the planned order or a production order, final delivery date of the production order. This we can view in the dates view. Now, what are the customized settings we require? Are set up profiles for the Proman. Proman profile is optional and is selected when Proman is called up. The individual indicators are profile and description, contains the number and short description of the profile. Exception profiles, this is the second Proman profile. And orders and documents, this defines per document or orders whether it is read and evaluated in Proman. Views define which views are displayed in Proman. We can also define an exception profile. It is not assigned directly when Proman is called up. Instead, it is selected via Proman profile. The exception profile specifies rules that are evaluated, and the result of this evaluation determines whether the traffic lights are then set to red or yellow. The traffic lights are displayed on the individual values. The rules for exceptions are therefore adjusted to fit the individual views, such as exceptions for documents, for example. So you can see the profile of Proman here. First Proman profile have the red rule, yellow rule and exception, and the profile has what are the type of documents we need to use and what are the views required to be used. Now we'll see about Proman. Before executing the transaction, we'll see the prerequisites of customizing settings. So we'll go to SPRO and customizing guide. Here project system, in the project system. Now we have to go to material. Here we'll go to material, then project oriented procurement. Here we have to create a profile for the Proman. Define profile. Now here we will define the profile for the project systems Proman. We'll take PS001 and profile name we can name it as Proman profile for projects, and we have to select the exceptional profile also. So here we'll select the documents. We'll select all the documents to be considered for the project oriented, project related material monitoring. And in the views also we can consider each and every view. And this exception profile will first of all create the profile, then we'll assign over here. Now this we will consider as Proman profile. Then we'll go to the profile of this is exception. Here we create the exceptions. Now profile for project related materials, we'll create new one. This will give as PS001, and this is for Proman exception profile. Now we have to assign the exception rules for documents, exception rules for dates and quantities, schedule lines and confirmations. So for the documents, we will create exception rules. If we create a project in the customizing guide, we can consider a project. Otherwise, without specifying a project also, we can proceed for exceptions. So we create the exceptions for documents. Yeah, instead we start with the scheduling exceptions. So we'll create new one and we'll give the name like scheduling exception. This is schedule exception. This is the name for this, and we'll create the rule. We'll create the rule for the red rule for the red light, and rule for the green light. So we are in the rules section. Here for the dates, we are creating the rule. So there is rule name. Rule name we will consider rule underscore 01. This is for the red rule we are giving. They can say rules for scheduling date. So this is the description we are giving. Now we'll go to rule definition. So here in the rule definition, now we have to select the field. Now we select this structure, corrective scheduling structure. Now will use date field. We can consider, or we can put a rule such a way that otherwise we can find a function for current date. We'll see the current date. Now this is the current date we are using. Now we can this current date should not be greater than or equal to requirement date. We can say again, we'll search for requirement date. So what does it mean? Requirement date cannot be in the past. That is the rule we are trying to create. So this is one rule we are keeping. Now if required, now again now we are saving this rule. So current date cannot be greater than the greater than the requirement date. That is one rule we are creating. Now once it is saved, now we'll go back. Now here we'll select the rule what we have created, YD rule 01. This we have selected. So rule for scheduling date. So similarly, now we'll create for the quantity exception. Quantity exception also will create one rule. So here we will give quantity exception, or we can give quantity exception. So now we'll go to rule definition. Here in the rule definition, what we considered is, in the structure, now we will, in the structure, the field we consider is reservation requirement quantity. Now we consider reservation so reservation required quantity is here only. The reservation required quantity should not be equal to quantity for availability check. We can consider this way. Reservation requirement quantity should not be equal. Then we'll check for quantity for avail check, or we can consider from here only. Contain material dark, contain, this is, so this should not be equal to the quantity availability check. Then we can close this formula. If it is does not, it should not be equal. That is the so this we have created one more rule. Now here we can consider as a quantity exception we have created. Now if required we can create some more also. Now we can create the exception profile. So here we can create exception profile. Now already we have created profile for the quantities and we have created for the dates. This is exception profile. This is Proman. Proman exception profile. This exception profile we have created. And in this exception profile we have created schedule exception. So it is automatically has come, and similarly for the quantities also we have created exception quantity. So these are the two rules we have created and we have assigned to this. Now this exception profile we can assign to Proman profile. This is the PS 001 Proman profile, and this is the exception profile we have created, and we'll consider all the orders and documents and views also. We'll consider everything. Now we'll save this. We'll save it to Proman profile. This is Proman profile. Now once we create the profile, now we can go for the checking of the plant materials profiles. We'll go to project system, then material, then in the execution, this is project oriented procurement Proman. So here we'll check for the project what we have prepared. Now this is the project oriented procurement. Now the project profile we are created the project U3000.1401 and the profile is this, and now we select for this project profile U3000, that does not exist, wrong. Now we'll see the project definition. What is the project oriented procurement result for the project U3000.1401? Now here we can see clearly against a project. This is the project definition and this is one activity. For this activity, these are the components. This is the component for this, the material. This is a material display directly from the Proman, and Now here for this network, now for this activity we can see the activity and activity elements, and for this WBS element here we have seen the components, then activity. For the activity, this is the information. So after execution we can see clearly the project oriented procurement, and here we have some functions like execute the action and grouping of them and other views, and we can set exception for the same. So for the material components we can keep the exceptions. So this is about Proman, project oriented procurement. So this we can use during